Afternoon, folks. I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters and the Pathfinder School. And what I want to talk to you about today is the infamous button compass. What type of button compass you should buy and how you can use this compass in an emergency as a navigational tool that's one step beyond just giving you a cardinal direction. Stay with me. We'll get started. All right. So if you look at this button compass, and this is a sun compass right off Amazon, it's made to fit on a watch band. So it's got a piece of plastic underneath it that's molded so that it will slide over the top of a watch band. So it's a backup compass. Okay, so an important part of this for navigational purposes is this movable bezel ring with degrees around it. Now, this one is in 5-degree increments, whereas a larger baseplate compass is usually in 2-degree increments. So your margin for error is much larger with a compass like this, and also because it's smaller, gives you more margin for error. However, the important part of this bezel ring is that what it allows you to do is to hold that compass level or point it in any direction. And this one has a directional arrow on it. So when you put it on your watch band, you would put that arrow facing your hand or facing forward. And with that in place, so what you would do is you would now move that bezel ring so that that north marker on the outside of the bezel ring lined up with the north arrow on your compass. And now you have effectively done what's called put the needle in the doghouse. And as long as you're walking a straight line, that needle will not move off the north arrow. If you shift directions in any way, it's going to change where it's at on the north arrow, which means you're not walking a straight line. So that is one perfect example of how I can use this for better navigation, because now I can effectively put a needle in the doghouse, which helps me to walk a straight line over distance. Now I can also use this compass along with a notebook to help me orient a map, okay? You can see that there's a north arrow on this map, a grid north, a map north, and a true north. I've got videos surrounding all of this legend material in my navigational series on YouTube. But understanding that the top of this map is always going to be grid north, remembering that this arrow is the front of our compass as it sits on our watch, like this. So it's going to be facing the front with that arrow. And the map is now right side up, being faced this way because the north arrow is pointing in this direction somewhat, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to take that north letter and we're going to put it right at the top of the compass, just like this. And then what we'll do is we'll find a notebook that's got a straight edge on it. And because we have a cutout on this compass, we can rest it against that straight edge to get that compass at a 90-degree angle. And we can lay this notebook on a grid square just like this. We have a top line here and a side line here. So we know that this is map north or grid north. We can lay this right against it just like this and then rotate the map to get that needle in the doghouse. Once that needle's in the doghouse, we are oriented to magnetic north. Now remember that grid north and magnetic north are two different things. We have 6 degrees of declination on this map. So if we're actually trying to plan a route on this map with a compass, we're going to need to plug declination in. If we're only trying to go from point A to point B, declination is not going to make a difference because all we're looking for at that point is needle in the doghouse. And I'll give you an example of that. Let's say we want to navigate from a known point. Say we're standing on top of this hilltop. We want to navigate to this wetland area. We can lay that same flat notebook between those 2 points. Make sure that the travel arrow on the compass is pointing in the direction we want to travel. So we've got this arrow pointing in the direction of travel. Push this up against the flat edge. Rotate our bezel ring until we get the needle in the doghouse again. So now we have needle in the doghouse. We've rotated our bezel ring till the north is above the needle. Now we can take all of this away, put this back on our watch because it's facing the direction of travel. And as long as we keep the needle in the doghouse, we'll be traveling the proper direction from point A to point B. The declination is arbitrary and doesn't matter in this case, nor does the travel bearing, because all we're trying to do is keep needle in the doghouse to walk from here to here. And all we have to do to measure that distance so that we can pace count is take some measuring device on our notebook If we want to pace count this, we just take a measuring device in our notebook and we measure. So now I have a definite travel direction, and I have a way to keep the needle in the doghouse to walk a straight line. And I have a pace count or a distance to get from here to here so that I know when I should be approaching this area. Now I've chosen a large mass here in wetland area so that if I am off by those 5 or 7 degrees, I'm probably still going to hit this wetland area. I'm not trying to pinpoint a certain spot on a trail or in a creek bed. I've given myself a land mass or a large landmark to work from. And that's important, but you can navigate with a small compass like this if you understand these things and take care to do so. Now, I want to show you one more trick with this compass. You can run a piece of tape through that watch band area and tape that thing down to a flat surface like this notebook. And now instead of running it on the side and having that loose, I have basically turned this into a baseplate compass. So I can put this right on a grid, just like this, rotate my map until north is at the top. So I've oriented the map to the terrain. So now going back to our example from yesterday, let's say I want to travel, instead of from this hilltop to this wetland, maybe this hilltop to this water up here. So I lay the compass on there, just like this. I now have an easy access to this bezel ring to turn this north straight up and down. And now I've plugged in my travel bearing. And as long as I keep needle in the doghouse as I travel, I'm going to be traveling from this hilltop to this watering area. I just need to then measure, which I can do on the other side of this notebook, so I know how many inches or how many centimeters it is, depending on my map and the scale I'm using. And I can tell that this is almost 1,000 meters because it's almost 10 centimeters from here to here. And this is a 1 to 10,000 map. So now with this, with my pacing beads, I can make a fairly accurate navigation attempt, even with a button compass. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you joining me here today for a quick video on how to utilize your button compass for more accurate navigation. Again, it's just an emergency backup. It's not something you should plan to use every day. But if something were to happen to your main compass and you have a button compass on your wristwatch or within your kit that you're using as a backup system, this is a way to be able to utilize that compass more accurately and to help you walk a straight line over distance. I appreciate your views. I appreciate your support. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, and for our business, all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends. And I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, guys. Thank you.